right, welcome everybody. Hi, Erica.
Hey, Swan. Hi, everyone.
And I think you just fixed the labs talk in the background, right?
I did, because I just realized it wasn't spinning, but even now I think, oh no, it's stuck.
I love it. I love it how much you take care of your background, actually, right? Again, look at my background and how much I take care of my background.
Come on. Love it. Love it.
Cool. So you're doing good. That's good to see.
Yes.
So Erica, last show, we talked with Tim and Louisa about telepresence. And what's your feeling, actually? What do you think about telepresence and the show in general?
I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot, and it was really nice to see that these robots aren't a gimmick. They really do already have established use cases and areas that we can use them. And there is a big difference between what we laymen think of as telepresence, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the big learning for me was actually because initially I came to the show and thought, hey, what's the big difference, right? We're all at home. I can do video conferencing all day long. And why should actually I kind of move around with a robot with a camera? And I think what I learned is that it really does make a big difference if you're able to choose the time and location yourself, right? And you're able to choose the angle in which you want to see the room, for example, who you want to see. That makes a huge difference, actually, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I really liked the live demos, actually. So we've seen how you can just kind of zoom into the map, pick the right robot, get connected, and then kind of navigate around, actually, which was pretty fascinating. So very cool.
And I did learn that there are still some setbacks, of course. They're not all-terrain robots just yet. And we do definitely need to, just improve how people are feeling comfortable about having these robots play a role in their shared spaces. But I'm very confident to see how that will progress.
Yeah, and I think this will really become more and more important as we move back into a new normal, right? After Corona pandemic, and we will kind of try to figure out how we can best include people from remote, for example, into the office environment. I think then we'll definitely touch on this again. I'm sure.
Definitely, yeah.
Excellent. So, well, kind of what's next, right?
Yeah. So up next, we are going to be talking about sustainable CX, and particularly we're going to be talking about sustainable commerce. And we thought that maybe before going into that, we might discuss with you guys. Okay. How is sustainability really directly relating to customer experience? It's kind of the $1 million question. So as you guys know, we're currently working with SKIO and the Foundry Munich, as well as the Foundry Berlin, with the Sustainable Future program. And out of the 13 startups, we're covering pretty broad canvas of how these different startups can help to improve how businesses address their sustainability challenges. And this is including the more broad areas like carbon tracking and trading, and working in compliance reporting, financial reporting, operational reporting, and understanding the value chain and the supply chain. But then there are also very concrete examples, mainly around climate action and circular economy. And these are the areas and the startups that we really want to focus on, because they provide so much opportunity for companies in CRM and in customer experience. So I don't know, Sven, if you wanted to get into.
Whoop, and Erica is frozen. But yes, I want to get into this area. I don't see it now. I see you moving again, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm to be honest with you, it's super well set, right? There's like 13 startups in the Sub.io cohort, and only some of them are in the CX area. And in this CX area, I think they're typically related with commerce, for example, that I'm also a lot in touch with. And I'm really happy because to give you a quick overview of these startups and these areas, basically, it is quite tangible, actually, right? And everybody understands immediately how this actually relates to sustainability. So let me give you a first example, actually. So one startup I'm working with, for example, is CodeCheck, and they essentially turn product numbers into information about sustainability. So you can, for example, tell your customers, the end consumers, basically, how sustainable a product is if it includes some harmful ingredients and things like that, right? So that's in the area of product information, being able to have like an easy to see score of the sustainability of a product, for example.
Yeah.
And another example, which I find absolutely brilliant, actually, is being able to, so when we shop online, for example, being able to buy the things that you really need and that actually fit to your feet, for example, in this case. So Footprint is a startup that is able to measure, right now, it's just children's feet, but feet in general, I would say, right? Maybe in the future. And that, of course, means you're able to order the correct shoe size for your kids. You don't have to order one shoe size below and one shoe size above, and then you send back 2/3 of the shipment, basically, which wastes a lot of CO2, basically. So I think these are just two cool examples. Another one, Too Good To Go, that we're working on with right now. I think many of you will know Too Good To Go. It's all about magic bags and kind of reducing food waste. So like an hour before the bakery closes, they're able to basically sell a couple of the leftover food, for example, leftover items with these magic bags. And it's like a win-win situation, because the customer basically gets a really good deal, and the bakery gets rid of the pastries and other bakery items. And in the end, it's a win situation for the environment, because we're not putting away the food, basically. We're not wasting it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm always thinking about the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. And these are, as you said, areas that people automatically recognize, why we need to do them, and in what ways, we can enact actions that make a difference as an individual. But it might not necessarily be so clear for businesses and for business users. So it's very with the startups, and how they can also integrate with SAP technology.
Yeah, totally. So we're totally focused, of course, on Commerce Cloud and also SAP Upscale, and to drive the integrations forward. And I'm pretty sure that there will be something we can see very soon, actually. So there's a 4th area that we didn't talk about now, right? Which is kind of circular economy. And I think that leads very nicely to the next show, actually.
Absolutely. So for our next Labs Talk interview, we're going to be talking with Anna from Lizee. And Lizee is a really great company that is helping businesses to leverage the circular economy. And in doing so, what they're doing is they're adopting rental business models in addition to their typical commerce business models. And they're already covering quite a few different industries. So when we think about renting versus buying, we usually are thinking about like cars or clothes. Yep, but Lizee is already covering quite a few different areas beyond that, like for instance sporting goods. We'll find out a little bit about, of course, like their business cases and what their customers are looking for, and what they've had to do in order to adopt these different alternatives to buying into their processes. But I'm also really interested to learn about like the technologies and what all has to change on the procedural level in order for a company, for instance, like Decathlon, to say, okay, instead of only selling skiing materials or skiing equipment that you're only going to use maybe once or twice a year, you can rent it. So what does the business have to do to make that successful?
And I'm also really wondering how they refurbish the products and what is the process for that, right? How to make sure that the next customer actually gets a product that's really worth it, that he wants to rent or he or she wants to rent, right? And yeah, and I heard about some crazy product categories that are really considering for renting. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to explore, actually. So
yeah,
cool. Okay, cool. Then I guess we're kind of ready for the last thing, right? I guess.
Yeah.
So what last thing do we have? So today we'll talk about the last thing you played for fun. And Erica will go first.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I haven't had too much time for play these days, but I can say that the last game that I tried out was one of these like training games for the PS5. So my fiance has a PlayStation 5, and I've never played it properly, but I did try it out when he first got it just to see how the controller works and to try running around and all that. And I realized that now, even though it's been like 3 months, that is the last thing that I played.
Okay.
It's really sad.
So my recent gaming experience is quite fresh, actually. I would say it's Luigi's Mansion 3 that my son just bought. So we're playing this up and down, basically. It's quite cool, that game. It's for Nintendo Switch. But I wanted to mention another game, which I find absolutely hilarious. And I came across it surfing on Y Combinator News or something like that. It's called Hatris. It's like Tetris, but it always gives you the worst piece, basically, okay? It always gives you that zigzag thing that you don't need and don't want, right? And I think, if I understood it correctly, it will just always give you that piece, and you just go crazy with that piece because,
Oh, no. Now I have to really check that out, because I have to say I'm a big fan of Tetris. I think of Tetris every time I need to load luggage or groceries into the car.
Something to learn.
So I knew exactly which piece you're talking about. Like,
very cool.
Oh, that's
well, excellent. Then thanks, everybody. Thanks, Erica. And we'll see each other in about 2 weeks, right? And we will talk about sustainable commerce with Anna Ballet from Lizee. Very much looking forward to that.
Yep. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.